So this webinar is titled Crossing the Rubicon, and I think it's aptly titled so because, as you know, Blue Sky Binary has been active in binary options only for the past two to 2.5 years or so. And during this period, we have come a long way as a leading education service in binary options, probably the only structured education provider, and that's no exaggeration. But obviously, over the years, we have amassed a lot of knowledge about the FX markets indirectly, and we've developed a range of strategies, both on the algorithmic side, which is the EAs, but especially on the education side. And we're going to be telling you more about the FX Academy, which formally launches today. All right, so it's open for all of you, for existing BSB clients, for new wannabe traders, for those looking to take control over their financial future. I think it's a very important webinar, and of course it's recorded, so you can view it later as well. Before I proceed, kindly take some seconds to read this disclaimer and also the risk warning, which is very important, and then we will proceed. All right. So today I will go over, we'll start off basically by discussing the difference between binary options and foreign exchange. Probably a lot of you know what it is, and some of you don't know the difference, so it's important we define that. And then I'll discuss, of course, how FX works and how you set your risk levels. There's going to be no strategy taught to you today. There's going to be no technicals or anything. It's a brief overview of how exactly FX works, and more importantly, how FX brokers make money versus how a binary option broker makes money. It's very important that that differentiation is made. And then I will get into discussing the FX Academy program. At the end, we will discuss some regulated deposit and trading options, which we highly recommend. Whether you plan to start today or you plan to start over the coming few weeks, it's up to you. But these are certainly the options that we know very well. They're very well regulated. We know the management teams, and we trust them beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay? So everyone who's here probably knows binary options and what exactly how they work. And now, of course, we're going to show you the difference in a table format versus FX. So let's start by making money. In binary options, you make 75% on your investment if you're right just by 1 micropip after the trade expires. In foreign exchange, it's different. It's more granular. You're actually making dollars per pip that the trade moves in your favor if you're long or short. Okay, so in FX, you can be more right. In binary options, you're either right or you're wrong. Okay, there's a difference there. So from a risk management standpoint, 100% is what you stand to lose, not if your entire capital, but off that trade, right? You lose the entire trade, or you win 75% of it. In FX, you actually set a take profit level and a stop loss level. And if the price journeys over and meets your take profit, then you make a few pips, whether that's 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 pips, that's up to you and up to the market. So you can lose a little, you can lose a lot. You can make a little, you can make a lot in FX. In binary options, you either lose or win. Now in binary options, you'll notice that you can trade all assets, including stocks and sometimes certain indices and some bonds. In foreign exchange, it's mainly foreign exchange assets, so currency pairs, and sometimes commodities like silver, gold, oil. The platforms that are available to trade binary options are web-based and MT4. Both are also available for FX. In terms of price manipulation, okay, Generally speaking, even though binary options have a shady reputation, binary option brokers, the amount of price manipulation is very low. The price generally comes from market makers, and the feed is adjusted for a few things, but it's generally pretty similar across binary option brokers, and the same holds true for foreign exchange brokers. Okay? Now, in binary options, and this is a big thing, in binary options, there's a conflict of interest, right? There's always a question coming up, well, how much money could I make in theory? What if I start making 100K a month? Yeah, if you start making 100K a month in binary options, your broker is going to shut you out. Even if it's one of the largest brokers, they're not going to want to do business with you. So you have to gradually milk the broker. The good news in FX is that it's not the case, right? Specifically, one or two brokerages that we work with very closely, amongst quite a few in the world, are choosing a very, very green, very kosher route, which is the right route forward, highly regulated, where they are mere intermediaries. You may have heard the term STP or a book broker. This basically means that when you're taking a trade, there is no conflict of interest. They're not trading against you. If you make money, they don't lose money. They actually make money as well because they take your trade, literally take it off their balance sheet and match it in the with a market maker, okay, with the wider FX markets. The reason that works is because the FX market is an order of magnitude around 10,000 times bigger than the binary options market. So the FX market is around 400 billion daily for retail traders and around 4 trillion in total. And that includes FX forwards, derivatives, and swaps. So it's a very liquid market, and the binary options market is very illiquid, right? Especially if you look at the binary option bucket shops out of Israel and some other countries. They've given binary options a bad name because they've not been able to successfully match order flow. In FX, FX is a very, very tried and tested market. It's been around for almost 2 decades on the retail side. And so it's a very, very well served market in terms of market makers. You just don't have that conflict of interest. With regards to deposit safety, in binary options, we would classify it as medium. You could lose your entire life if you deposit at the wrong broker. And if you deposit at a safe broker, you're not going to have any problems whatsoever. So we rate it medium. In foreign exchange is different. Some FX brokerages actually have banking licenses. Some FX brokerages are very big. They have billion-dollar balance sheets. And some FX brokerages are so strictly regulated and they are pure STP. So there's very, very, very slim chances of you not getting your deposit back. Now, there are some bucket shop FX brokerages. The very common sense rule of thumb that we ask, that we advocate that you follow is if you haven't heard of it, right, don't deposit there. As simple as that. If we recommend it to you, our word is worth gold. We've been around for years. You understand our management ethos. You understand our high level of ethics. We would never send you to your doom. So those are the two criteria, right? If BSB has heard of it, it's safe. If BSB recommends it, it's safe. Or if it's one of the big ones, one of the very established ones around the world, they've been there for 10, 15 years, you're not going to have a deposit problem. Then we get to regulation. There is no regulation in binary options, not really. I mean, SciSec, some would consider a regulator, some would not. Generally speaking, at this moment, we consider it an unregulated market. In FX, we'd say it's medium. You can get some pretty big bucket shops that are unregulated. But then on the other hand of the spectrum, you get companies with banking licenses, pure STP, A-book brokers, very, very safe, FCA regulation, CFTC regulation. So overall, the industry we would classify as medium, but of course, we are only going to recommend you the best and safest places to trade. Now, here's something to note. Binary options has an advantage structurally in that its return potential is very high. You can grow a $100 to $200 account to 10, 20,000 in a year if you know what you're doing. Okay. And in foreign exchange, that's impossible. Even if you take on jumbo leverage and your win rate is 70, 80%, it's very, very difficult. But you can earn medium returns. So in foreign exchange, once you learn what you're doing and you have a few $1,000s at your disposal to trade with, then you can make a decent monthly income and grow that, compound that over time in a much more safer manner. So this is not to say binary options sucks and FX is good, or FX is bad and binary options good. We're just letting you know that actually both are great places to trade, and you should diversify your skill set, which is why we've started FX Academy. You should be trading both. And in foreign exchange, you realistically will not be making more than 15% per month over time. Now you may say, oh, well, 15% per month over time, my grandma makes that. Actually, she doesn't. So your grandma has invested in retirement products at your local bank, which are making around 5% a year at best. Cash earns negative rates of interest. Now, recently, after Trump and what's happening in the US, it has a slightly positive rate. But generally speaking, your pension isn't earning more than 10% a year in a good year. So in FX, you can make 100% a year, roughly. 100, maybe 200% if you're good, which is pretty awesome compared to other asset classes. In binary options, if you know what you're doing, you can make 1,000, 2, 3, 4,000% return. But the risk is also therefore higher. Okay, so this should be a pretty good comparison of the two asset classes. So this is how FX works. Okay, again, for those of you that are already here, that have done this before, this is probably like teaching a granny to suck eggs. So don't mind me. But for those of you that don't really understand FX, please pay attention to this. This is pretty important. One moment, please. Okay, so in FX, let's say you believe the price is going to drop. You would open a short position or a put in binary options. That's what it's called in binary options. And the price will drop, right? And if it drops, you typically are going to be setting a take profit level, which is a few pips away. Pips is basically a percentage in interest point. And it basically is the smallest value a currency can move down or up. So you enter your short here, and if the price drops, it hits your take profit, you've netted 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever, how many ever pips it is. That's profit in your account. If it drops and it doesn't hit your take profit level, you can still close your position for a less than originally designated pip amount. So maybe 10 pips instead of the 15 you were going for. If it moves against you, then it hits your stop loss, and never trade without stops. Okay, we're going to teach all of that to you in the academy, but it's important that you realize that it can move against you, and you don't want it to just keep moving against you, because then you keep losing more pips, right? And per pip, you could be earning anywhere from 1 cent to 10 cents to 20 cents to $1 to $10. This totally depends on your leverage and how many lots you purchase. Some of these terms are new. That's no problem. You're going to learn all of this, but just stay with me here. So on this, the price can move down and you've made a gain, or it could hit your stop loss and you've lost. Here's the beauty. There is no expiry, so this position can be open in theory forever. You are going to be charged an overnight interest rate, which is very low. It's overnightly interest. So there's a bit of margin, but it's very, very small, right? You basically won't feel it. So the cost of leaving a position open is not high. Does that mean you should leave positions open into perpetuity? Absolutely not. In fact, our research team has run a lot of tests that generally speaking, there's an inverse relationship between win rate and duration, which means the longer you leave your FX position open, the longer it goes against you, the more likely it will go against you. Anyway, so this is how FX works. With binary options, if you remember, it says you go put, and after the asset has expired, after the bet has expired, it's either below or above your price, right? And you either get 75% payout on that trade, or you get nothing, you lose that money. With here, you lose a bit, right? So if it was a $10 position and it hits your stop loss, it may become $8. If you win, let's say you only make $2, $3. Does that make sense? So it's very important that you realize that the gains are constricted, but so are the losses. Now, I discussed some of these things in the previous slide. I'll go a little bit more into depth. It's very important that you set your risk levels, because here time value doesn't really exist. It's not like the trade fails to exist after 5 minutes, right? It just shuts out, and then you're either rewarded to 75% or you're basically punished by 100%. That doesn't happen in FX. So in FX, you have to manage your own risk, because the trade could remain open while you sleep, and you could leave it open forever, in theory. How much risk you take on is totally dependent on how much leverage you take on and how much currency units you purchase, right? So leverage, again, I'm giving you a brief overview today. I'm not going to get into the mathematics. All of this is taught in our academy in depth. Okay, it's a professional trading course, so you learn all that. Today is just to give you a quick kind of teaser so you get your toes a bit wet. The amount you can borrow from your FX broker for each dollar of equity you actually deposit, that's leverage, right? So a leverage of 5 to 1, for example, if your actual position is $100, you are trading as if you had a position of $500. So if you have a leverage of 5 to 1 set in your account and you have a $100 account of cash that you've deposited, then you're basically trading as if you actually had deposited 500. Now leverage costs overnightly interest, that's what you're charged. And there's also a catch-22 situation. Your gains are magnified, but so are your potential losses. So if, for example, you have a $100 position and the trade moves in your favor, and let's say that you're long US dollar, Japanese yen, and you make a 2% gain on equity, your actual gain is going to be a factor of 5 higher, right? Because of your leverage. But if it moves against you, you also lose that much more. So gains and losses are magnified. In FX Academy, we're going to recommend you very low levels of leverage, 1 to 1, 10 to 1. Generally speaking, the world's top traders don't use more than 50 to 1 leverage. Most hedge funds in the world have a maximum leverage of 80 to 1, anywhere from 20 to 1 to 80 to 1, right? You will come across some really unprofessional bucket shops in FX and some, strangely speaking, regulated names that have jumbo leverage that offer you 2,000 to 1 leverage, 500 to 1 leverage. That is going to destroy your account. It's not a question of if, but just when, right? So really, there are two ways you can determine your career in FX. You either go down the route we recommend or the highway. And in the highway, basically, you're lost because you're going to come across the same shit and the same scams you came across in binary options, only magnified. The beauty is that the FX market is very big. It's very researched. It has a lot of smart people in it. And the blue sky binary is, we are just one of the people around, right? For those of you that understand our ethics, that understand our research-driven process, our value-driven process, then you'll understand that we also approach things in a much more risk-adjusted manner. So we are recommending you leverage of 1 to 1 to 10 to 1, maybe 20 to 1, right? FCA regulations soon are not going to allow brokerages to offer more than 50 to 1, so that's a good thing, okay? Our EAs, our expert advisors, which are robots that we have built, that we're launching on Signal Hive, and other white labels, they actually trade with a leverage requirement of under 40 to 1, right? So everything we do is with low leverage in mind. Now let's talk about lot sizes. So leverage is one way you can trade with more risk and more reward. And then you have lot sizes. Now, this is the minimum amount of units you can purchase of a specific currency pair. A standard lot is 100,000 units, right? That basically means if you have that money in your account, you're going to be trading as if you're earning 10 or you're losing $10 per pip. Now, let me tell you what a pip is. All of you should know that, but for those of you that are new, a pip is a very tiny movement, right? It's euro US dollar going from 1.3515 to 1.3516. If you're buying a standard lot, you have $10 per pip exposure, okay, which is a lot of risk at this stage. A mini lot is 10,000 units, that's $1 per pip, which is medium risk, and a micro lot is very low risk, that's 10 cents per pip. That's what we suggest you should trade first with. Now, some brokerages will go even lower and offer nano lots. We think that's a bit much. I believe that's 1 cent per pip, but you're not going to be making much money. You're going to be making a few dollars every month, even if you have a great month, right? That's not really that great. So you want to be somewhere between the micro lots and the mini lots. Okay. Another thing is risk reward per trade. Now, this is a concept which is not really known in binary options, right? In binary options, it's all about the win rate and the volume and a little bit about the variance. Here, it's about how much you win, how many pips you gain when you win, as compared to how many pips you lose when you lose. So if I go back to my example of this chart here, you will see that I've set the take profit here, which is, let's say, 20 pips below my entry, and I've set my stop loss at just 10 pips above my entry. There's a skew there. Why is that skew there? Basically, what I'm saying is I believe in my position. I believe the market will drop more likely than it will rise, and so I want to capitalize on that. And when I make money, I want to make 20 pips. If I lose, if I'm wrong, I just want to cut my position early, and I want to sacrifice 10 pips. That take profit divided by stop loss is 2 divided by 1, so it's a factor of 2. So it's a risk-reward ratio of 2. That's a very good risk-reward ratio. It's always something we suggest that you aim towards. It's going to be very tough to get at first. Most of you will have a risk-reward ratios of 1 or less in the beginning. But what this tells you is that FX is very forgiving. You can be a good trader with a risk-reward ratio of 1. That means you win as many pips as you lose. But your win rate is above 55%, 55 or 60% or whatever, so that your capital is growing over time. You can be a trader that doesn't care so much about risk reward. You are going for 5 pips, quick wins, but you're willing to withstand a loss of 20 pips or 10 pips. So the risk reward is under 1, which some people will say, okay, that's bad, but that's okay as long as your win rate is very high. Your profitability in FX is a factor of 2 things, win rate and your profit factor, right? And you can either, there are some traders in the world that have a 30% win rate. So they lose 7 out of 10 trades. In binary options, you would be compared to Mike Freeman if that happened, right? Or you get crushed. In FX, it's a completely different story. In FX, you can be rewarded for having a 30% win rate as long as when you win, you're winning with a factor of 3, profit factor of 3. So you're making 3 times as much more pips when compared to when you lose. Okay? Okay. So now let's discuss how FX brokers make money. The binary brokers basically make money when you lose, right? And sometimes big binary brokers may say, oh, well, we're matching volumes, right? Which is normally bullshit. But let's say they're lucky at doing that. Then yeah, in that case, the binary broker just makes a cut and they match the loser, deposit losers, the depositor's loss to another depositor's gains on that particular pair, on that particular expiry. That's very rare though, okay? Binary brokers, when you lose, they win, and that's why there is a conflict of interest. FX brokers, however, may have access to market makers and the general wider markets, and when their risk is high, they will typically hedge their positions in the wider FX spot markets, or they'll simply shift clients to the A book, where again it's akin to them not really positioning themselves against clients, and they're just passing on the exposure and they make a very small cut. Okay, so this reduces the conflict of interest to 0. Now, this doesn't apply to all FX brokers. If you find an FX broker that is giving you cash deposit bonuses of 10,000 and you see the similar tactics that are happening in binary options, most likely it's a scam. Okay, and you don't want to deal with those brokerages. The FX market is very widely evolved. All right, so you don't need to fall for those scams. Now, FX brokers, generally speaking, the way they make money is slightly different. They may either charge a flat fee per trade, so $3 per trade all the way up to 10. It depends on the brokers, their balance sheet. But generally speaking, this is what they are going to be charging you, right? So in an ECN account, you may have heard of those accounts. Sometimes you have very low spread, but you get charged commission per trade. Or they may introduce higher spread into the trade, and all of you know what spread is. In binary options, you don't have any spread, generally speaking. In FX, you have a little bit of spread. On the majors, it's maybe 0.5 to 2 pips. But the more spread there is, the more chance of you not making money, and the more easier it is for them to lock an instant arbitrage gain. That's what a lot of brokers do in the markets. So it's either spread or commissions. That's how they make money. During news, you'll notice that the spread on pairs increases significantly, and that's a good place for brokers to make money as well. So now getting to the actual topic of this webinar, BSB FX Academy. Like BSB Trader University, which was binary options based, is a brand new 10 to 14 week course. It does take that long. Okay, it's designed for complete newbies, existing BSB, TU binary option traders, or intermediate and struggling FX traders. Right, around 90% of traders in the world don't make money, both in binary and FX, and that's a big number. And the main reason is the tools, and that's why, as you know, we've been working on some pretty interesting tools like Artemis, which we're going to be launching both for binary and FX, which will get that percentage much lower, so traders like you can make money. But generally speaking, this course is designed to give you the latest cutting-edge knowledge, tools, and techniques to become professional FX traders at an 80% discount to other services. So we've gone through hundreds of FX services out there. We've seen their pricing. Generally speaking, their pricing is $2,000 to $3,000, taught in one-off courses which last a week, either in person at hotels, via seminar, webinar, or there's free education. Now, unfortunately, the free education doesn't work. If it would have worked, if the stuff that you found on free forums worked, then 95% of retail traders wouldn't be losing money. It's as simple as that. The education that's free out there, you can try it, but if you're still losing money, it's because these techniques don't work. They're very generic. The course, the FX course, was designed last year over a period of 8 months. It has a video on demand element. A big portion of the course is video on demand, followed by exams and quizzes for each module, and a one-on-one tutor that you are appointed, just like BSB2U. Okay, these are trained tutors, and this is an approach which has worked very well in binary options. Some of the strategies we've taught you there, especially the core strategy, is an absolute killing machine if used correctly, and so that's what we have ported over to FX. Now, the examination process is 200 questions spanning 8 different technical and fundamental modules, and contains only, this is really important, it contains the relevant information only. There's so much crap out there about a range of strategies and information that you just don't need to make money. We've actually got rid of all that and condensed it into a course which lasts around 10 weeks. And that's the information you need to make money and also protect your capital, which is the most important thing. Now, here's the proof, and the proof is in the pudding. At the end of this course, you will be tested with a live FX account, small account, and once you clear our performance benchmark requirements, which are listed in the Academy, you are ready to trade by yourself or with our community. Before that, you're not ready. After that, if you pass that, then you're ready. You can expand your earnings over on Signal Hive FX, which is launching very soon as well, where you can become an audited signal provider. Okay, so if you want to earn money not only by trading but by also giving signals, that's perfectly doable. Now, of course, a lot of you are asking, well, what exactly do I get in the course, right? Here it is. So it's 8 modules. We start off with what is FX, the market structure. What exactly is a trade? I went a little bit over it today, but it'll go into depth. The trade mechanics. What is the bid-ask spread? What types of orders can you take, right? Pending orders, at market, good to close. There's a range of orders. Risk management, and what are pips, what are lots, what is leverage? How do these things work? Then we discuss the 3 different types of styles of trading. Then we discuss 2 types of analysis. Technical analysis, that's a different school of thought, versus fundamental analysis. Then we discuss the different dynamic market conditions that are changing during the day. And then we enter a deep dive in about week 5, week 7, into technical analysis. You understand how to set up charts, how to read charts. You understand basic candlestick analysis, Bollinger theory. Then we get into support resistance level theory. And then we go really deep and we teach you the core FX trading strategy, which looks at very particular geometrical chart patterns. And very importantly, you're not a lopsided trader. You're not one of those guys who just can't trade news or gets scared of news and stops and, kind of a deer in the headlights approach. No, We teach you fundamental analysis, news trading. We teach you basic macroeconomics and 3 ways to trade the news so that you can have an intelligent discussion with fellow traders and know exactly how to trade certain bits of news. Last but not least, we teach you account sizing, leverage and position sizing, risk reward, and emotion control, and coping with losses. Okay, this is a very important part because a lot of we will lose at some point. We teach you coping mechanisms. Of course, when Artemis comes into play, a lot of this will be automated, right? So you won't be worrying about that. The system will take over, but it's important that you realize these, you understand these things. In the final leg, which is around week 10, week 11, it depends on your rate of progress, we will introduce you to EA's PAMS, social trading, which is basically social trading, and how to use MT4. After all of this is done, you will start your live trading test. Okay. Now, in terms of regulated deposit options, we strongly suggest if you are not American or Canadian, and if you're certainly in Europe and parts of Asia or the Middle East, the best option right now is 365 Invest, which is a new regulated Dutch broker. They're basically the FX wing of Opti.nl, which is the Dutch market leader in binary options. What differentiates this broker from other brokerages in our view is that it is the only broker that is pure A book. So this broker doesn't even have a B book. They don't have a dealing desk. They're not dealing against clients. It's purely A book. It's purely STP. We have a personal relationship with the management for over 2.5 years. Extremely trustworthy people. We rarely say that about people in this industry. We vouch for them. And very importantly, they have probably the lowest spreads we've seen in the industry in the tests that we've run. So very, very powerful platform, very ethical platform. And this is certainly one which we are going to be connecting the Artemis to. And of course, it offers MT4. This is the one that we suggest to deposit at. For Americans and Canadians, you can go with Oanda. They are the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They have slightly worse spreads. They also have a problem with FIFO, which 365 Invest doesn't. FIFO is basically first in, first out accounting. It's not something that's going to affect you when you're manually trading, but when you switch to EAs, which we certainly want you to when they are fully ready on Hive, the issue there is that you have to close out. The Americans force you to close out old positions before new ones are opened. And this can cause a bit of a disturbance in the strategy. So this is a problem, but of course, in terms of safety, Oanda is unparalleled. It's been around now for almost 17 years. It's a billion-dollar company, and it's very safe. It is a market maker, which means it can dictate pricing, which means you get worse spread. So again, this is our investment tool of choice, 365 Invest. For Americans, of course, who can't deposit there, you can go there. There's also Hot Forex, a company that we do webinars for. We trust them as well. They, however, do have an A or B book, so there could be at times a conflict of interest, although given you guys are not trading millions and millions, you should be fine as well. Generally speaking, these are the 3 deposit options. So, next steps. You head on over to blueskybinary.com and you click on BSB Academy in the menu. The entire website has been changed to accommodate FX, and you can sign up to the Academy for your 7-day free trial, and you get free access to the dashboard and our technology, trading and education tool, which is where the education is delivered. Right. So the dashboard is something some of you are familiar with. That's where the FX Academy is delivered as well. When you're inside, please select Enter FX Academy, and then you will be allocated a senior trader and tutor, and your education will begin. Please note that if you are already a paying client of BSB, which means you're paying $100 a month, your FX education is included in there. But we do not teach it simultaneously, which means you need to choose BO or FX, and we teach you one and then we teach you the other, mainly because of information overload. You can't learn both at the same time. It's very confusing, so you do one or the other. So the cost is $99 a month, and generally speaking, depending on your own pace, it should take you anywhere between 2 to 3 months, which is probably the quickest education and the most concise and probably the cheapest education out there. So from a value perspective, you're getting a really good deal. You get access to the trading tool, the dashboard, as mentioned earlier, included in the $100 a month or $99 a month. You get access to Signal Hive, which is our social trading platform, both for binary options and FX. And Artemis, our intelligent, evolving platform, which is complementary as well. Artemis is a direct competitor to MT4 and will be live for FX in about 8 weeks from now, and for BO in around 3 weeks from now. Okay, so now I will take questions. Please type your questions out, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, see a question from Kartik. What is the difference between Artemis and Hive? Good question. So Artemis is basically an intelligent, artificially intelligent trading platform that basically allows you to take trades at a range of brokers, either BO or FX. The only difference is, unlike MT4 and other classic web traders, Artemis learns how you trade, and then it stops you from repeating silly mistakes. It can identify your weaknesses and strengths over time, and it guides you towards your strengths. The second thing is that it has deep analytics, so it monitors your trading performance on a range of performance parameters, and it keeps feedbacking to you how you're doing relative to the community. Other platforms don't have this. Thirdly, Artemis has a very strong social trading element as well, where you can converse and trade in groups, and you can also trade a range of missions and what have you. So it kind of brings two new elements to the trading community. Signal Hive is just a social trading platform in the sense that you follow the signals auto trade of senior signal providers or highly engineered robots. And so it's an auto trader. It's for people that don't have time to trade. Artemis is actually for people that do have time to trade. They want to become professional traders. See a question from Chris Jeffrey. Hi, reading between the lines, do you own the asset? As where in BO you don't, therefore it is tradable. A very good question. And Chris is also asking about the tax implications. Good question. So Chris, hypothetically, in FX, you are owning the asset for whatever micro duration. In FX, you actually impact the underlying asset price. However, in the last few years, I would say the last decade, companies like IG and Oanda and stuff, they've actually converted the market to, it's almost like spread betting. So you're not actually owning the asset. At expiry, you're just basically netting off. So you don't really own it. In binary options, you certainly do not own the asset. It's 100%, it's not owned. However, even binary option income is taxed if it's your primary source of income in the UK. We don't know about other foreign jurisdictions, but in the UK, even if it's binary options as your only income, you are taxed. If it's your second source of income, just like FX, then it's tax-free. So a question from Leighton. Is the training applicable to CFDs as well? Yes, it is, Leighton. What we're training you, what we're teaching you, is basically how to trade, how to identify trade patterns, and when to enter and when to exit. The core trading strategy, which you learned in binary options, is fully portable to FX with a few modifications, and it's fully portable to equities as well. Any asset that moves up or down can be ported. So that's the beauty about core. Say a question from Yas. Hi, Josh. Okay, you mean in previous webinar you mentioned Pepperstone broker is no longer available? Yes, Abbas. So the Pepperstone broker is something that we will offer as one of the brokers for Hive, but not for the educative side, because we're not connecting Pepperstone with Artemis. We're connecting Artemis with 365 Invest. And also the thing about 365 Invest is that they are pure A-book STP brokers. So in terms of trustworthiness, that's where our heart lies, and that's where we would like our clients to trade. Okay, Kartik is asking, how do existing BSB students access the FX learning? It's a very good question, Kartik. It's actually available in your dashboard already now. If you log in, top left, you'll see Enter FX to you. You can start your program, and your mentors are waiting to be allocated. Miles Warkin is asking, must we complete the live trading component of the binary options training as well as the educational and modules before we access the FX training? Miles, no, but I would certainly complete it if you've already started the program. You know, it'll cost you a few weeks, but why not do it? Why would you quit and suddenly join FX? I mean, everything you're learning in binary options makes you a better trader in FX. So if you have already started BO, then finish it first. If you have not started it, then go ahead and start FX first. I see a question from Chris. I was under the impression in Hive FX would be more profitable than BO. Is that not the case? Sounds like it's more stable but slower pace. Very good question, Chris. Have a look at our Hornet, the MyFX book link that our team has put together. Almost a year in engineering that strategy. Hornet is a highly engineered EA which is live right now. It's faced 2 months of drawdown, and so small drawdown. It's not a big drawdown. It's 150 pips or something like that, but it's something which has performed and delivered something like 50,000 pips, 60,000 pips since 2008. All our back tests, which is on live variable spread data, start in 2008. So they take into account Lehman Brothers. They take into account quantitative easing, the entire quantitative cycle, easing cycle by the Fed, the ECB. They take into account Brexit, SMB, all the systemically significant events that have shaped the markets in the last 10 years. Our EAs are engineered to weather those storms, but that does not mean there won't be a drawdown in certain months. Now, in binary options, it's a different case. Binary options, Signal Hive's streams are only tested back 2 years, 2-3 years. And yes, a lot of them make money. Signal Hive is in profit this month. It was in profit last month and the month before that in BO. The only difference is that you remember what binary.com did in September of last year. It's something we like to call binary gate, like Watergate. In my opinion, it was single-handedly the most potent proof that binary options can be bust very quickly if you have a powerful EA. And that's what we did. We bust them with Dive and Saki Turbo last year. They yelled blue murder. They lost $500,000 in a month. That's of course auto trading, so it's a bit different, right? But the problem they had was that we had 1,000 connected clients to that one stream, and they were hemorrhaging money every day because that stream was good. It was smart. Taking your question to FX, I'm putting a bit of context around it. We have engineered streams now more like retirement products, where you put away 1,000 or 2,000 and you let it run and you view performance on a quarterly basis, right? And you'll see the performance. You can see the performance in the backtest, also live. It delivers over time. But if it's kind of week to week for you, then we suggest sticking to the BO side, make a few $100 every month, and be happy with that. With FX, it's a professional investing product. It's for a different audience. It's for an audience that's taking a long-term view. And for that very reason, we're not charging for the FX streams, just so that we're on the same page, at least for the first few months, because we want to deliver value. Okay, Alexander Lahom is asking, in the core strategies, it looks like the BO one are different. It's similar to the BO one. It's very, very similar. Okay, good. Any other questions for anybody? Chris is asking, thanks. When is FX coming to Hive? It isn't. No, I'm just kidding. It's coming at the end of this month. So FX signals are already live in Hive. If you log in now, you'll see them in the FX signals room. Our team has already built the risk management in the back end. What we need to do is now just wire it and create a tutorial on how you can set everything up. Priority right now is to get Artemis out, which is in its final leg. And once that's done, we're going to wire Hive FX. Probably mid-April, you'll be ready. Again, I want to reiterate, it'll have 4 EAs live, 3 to 4. All the EAs are free, okay? And we want to see it deliver value for you. And we want you to feed back to us and say, hey, this is really making money. Thank you, good work. And then we will start to charge for them. So first you can milk us, and then we're going to milk you. I see a question from Kartik. Are you guys Illuminati? Yes, we are. 2 or 3 members of our board are actually part of the Illuminati. Question from Lay. Will the recording be uploaded? Yes, it will, Leighton. So Kartik Yas is asking, a £5,000 account is a realistic account size for FX to start? Yes. So here's what we suggest. You're not going to be trading a £5,000 account. No way, not at first, not in FX Academy. At first, it'll be $100 to $200. We want you to understand it inside out, right? I want you to teach Zio, Josh. I want you to teach Zen and Jose and these guys and Otto, and I want you to be able to teach them. That's how good you need to be before you unleash yourselves on a big account like that. But yes, ultimately, a $5,000 to $10,000 account is a decent, reasonable investment. This isn't betting anymore. This is an investment into your financial future. And once you have the skills, then you can generate 10 to 20% a month on that account, which is a good income, and compound it. If you are looking to deposit $1,000 in FX and make 1 or 2,000 a month, you will blow your account. I promise you that you will blow it, right? So don't even bother coming to FX Academy. Go directly to Hive, hook up one of those small accounts to the EAs and let them run and start viewing performance on a quarterly basis, right? But even those EAs won't deliver more than 10 to 20% a month, right? So it's very important you understand that. Any person telling you that you can make 100 to 200% return a month sustainably in FX has never actually traded before. Okay, so just bear that in mind. But that is, yes, in answer to your question, that's a realistic amount. It's a good amount. We would never ask you to deposit 20, 30, 40,000 in the beginning. That's nonsense. And many FX brokerages may, and binary option brokerages love it when you deposit perverse amounts. We don't. In FX Academy, we're going to first make sure that you're trading real money. We want you to have the real experience, but very, very, very small amounts first, right? You need to wet your toes, and then you need to gradually swim to the deep end. Any other questions from anybody? Last call for questions. Final call for questions. All right. So I see no further questions from anybody here. Thank you for your time on this Sunday, and we will reconvene with you. Probably now the next update from us will be either Artemis BO launch at the end of this month, or Hive FX launch in the first or second week of April, depending on which one we hit first. And then we can hopefully consolidate everything. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Take care.